been the most unique thing for you as a slot back with the new normal for your practices now with the protocol? What's been the biggest difference being a slot back in Navy practices the last couple of weeks?
I'll say the biggest difference is not getting to hit Diego during camp. I would say that has to be the biggest difference. The whole non-contact thing is it hasn't really thrown us off, but it's a lot different than what you're used to in camp, you know, not being able to cut block and, you know, feel what it's like to get tackled and things like that. That's probably been the biggest thing.
That said, what do you think it's going to be like when you turn it up and crank it up for BYU? How big a difference is that going to be not having really gone live before that?
It'd be like riding a bike. Once we get out there, everything will click back into place.
Do you think that could be an advantage, keeping you guys a little tougher, a little meaner, having a little more gas in the tank, ready to go, not maybe using up some of that energy in practice?
I would say yes, and it really doesn't matter. When we get on the field, that mindset clicks in, and you know, we out to do what we came to do. So it'll definitely we'll get it taken care of when we get out there.
I saw your class schedule that Scott sent out to us. Your PE requirement is tennis. That's a great social distancing sport, huh?
Great one.
Have you?
I want to play Coach Nehemiah. Hopefully, at the end of the season, I'll get good enough where I can play Coach Nehemiah.
Is that fun being able to do a different sport where you can just have fun and get a little exercise and not have to worry about your assignments?
Oh yeah, definitely a nice breather, I guess, from football. But the way my class works, we do tournaments for grades. So if you win a tournament, you get an A. So I'm trying to get my A in the class this first week. So I'll let y'all know how that goes.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
John Sadak.
Hey, Myles. John Sadak, CBS Sports Network. Thank you for taking the time. What's your position room been like? You know, obviously a lot of moving parts there. Congrats to you, listed as a starter right now in camp, but the influx of Chance into that room and some of that change, what's it been like from your perspective?
It's been different, and not in a bad way, I would say. We lost a few guys, and, you know, due to health stuff and different things, but we still love those guys. We're still in the same group chat. We talk every day. But practice, I mean, we're just trying to really implement the culture into the younger guys that don't really know. The new guys that come into position, try to let them know our culture as A-backs. You know, we're some of the smallest people that's on the field at all times. So just letting them know you got to pack a punch. You got to be tough. We can't afford to get hurt. You know, like if your ankle's hurt, tape it up and let's rock. You know, just trying to coach them up. And it's been a learning process for me as well. You know, the young guys come and ask me about, you know, some beginning plays. And I'm like, come on, you don't know that. But I have to rewind and be like, okay, they don't know, and coach them up how I was coached up. And just bring them along. Everybody's coming along.
What's Dalen been like? You know, we've spoken with Dalen and Coach Jasper, and they've praised his footwork, his throwing ability. Obviously, that's part of a quarterback. But I would almost be more curious what his feel is like in the pitch game with you guys. And that's hard to simulate without that same kind of contact. But what's been your read on kind of that feel that exists there, you know, in when to read, when to keep, when to pitch, and the communication nonverbal that you guys have between each other?
Dalen Morris is coming to play with a vengeance. And the way I've seen him train in the off season, and, you know, when we were at home, we would post on Instagram and we text each other like, hey, Rendu, did you get your workout in this morning? He's like, yeah, I'm squatting 405 for however many reps. So we've been always trying to one-up each other in the off season. And when we all got back on June 28th and seeing him work out, because we kind of had to work out in with our roommates, so I couldn't work out with him, but I could see him working out. It's 100 and some degrees outside. He's running a mile or so with weight on, with a hoodie on and sweatpants, you know, like. And then when we finally could work into our different pods, we were up at 6 in the morning. We actually got a throwing session in at 2 a.m. We were all just up, and we was like, hey, like, what you doing? I was like, nothing. What you doing? He was like, nothing. I was like, to get some work. He's like, all right. So me, him, Cam, Kinley, we all went out to the field and we got some routes in, just working different things. Any time of the day I'm free, I'm like, I just text him. I'll be like, Ocho. He'll be like, what time you want to meet? I'm like, 30 minutes, Rip Miller. Be there. Like, we've been building that chemistry for a while, just, you know, expecting the best, you know, just coming in to compete. And so I think the way he comes out and plays, y'all will be very impressed.
I love it. And it seems like you already have a lot of chemistry with Cam, too. You got that presidential ticket set. I know you've talked about your love of politics, your yearning perhaps to go for governorship and then the presidential run. But I'm also very interested in your work on the Player Council for Racial Equality. I read about the concept and some of the initial things that you guys were doing, but are you still meeting twice a week? How is that evolving? How do you see that helping you and your teammates and your community?
So with the season started, we've kind of backed off on meeting twice a week.
Mm-hmm.
We just had a meeting last night, actually, with just board members, so that we get our plan together, and then we can push information down. That way, it's not just a big group of people, everybody kind of in there talking. But some of the initiatives that I'm heading up right now is just in-company conversations. So the brigade is split up into different companies, just trying to facilitate different conversations about racial inequalities and different experiences that we have. I myself bring a unique perspective to the table compared to most midshipmen. Just being in the minority, 7% people at the school, just being able to offer my perspective up is something that I think would be helpful for other people to understand kind of where people like me and myself come from when it comes to issues like this. That's just my area that I've tried to, that I feel like I can make the most difference. There is like a ton of different things going on, and we have different board members that are heading up those different things. And we're just attacking it as we can. We try to have, when we meet for the week, we'll have a goal for the end of the week that we try to reach. And we just chugging along. It's a marathon, not a sprint. We know that, but we just want to make sure we're covering ground every day.
I love that you guys are doing that. Thank you. I appreciate it, Myles.
Thank you.
Phil Bergman.
Hey, Myles, Phil Bergman, Navy Sports. You talked earlier about implementing the Navy culture with the younger guys. In your words, what is that Navy culture? Navy
culture is hard work. It's selfless. It's what do I have to do for the guy next to me? Especially in our room, if you miss a block, you can put somebody in the hospital if you miss a block doing the things that we do. So we take a lot of pride in taking care of each other. For my brothers, I don't know if you guys see the towel that we have. We have a For My Brothers towel. And it just always kind of reminds you, like, it's bigger than me. It's bigger than anything that I can do. And like Stacey said, A's make plays. We make plays. When you get the opportunity, you go make a play. And we tell them to try to relax. Freshmen come in and it's different, coming into a different speed of the game and things like that. But we just try to tell them, relax. You're a playmaker, otherwise you wouldn't be here. And go out and do it. But definitely in the forefront of your mind, keep the fact that it's your brothers, not you. And when everybody has that uplifting attitude, everybody wins. And that's all we want to see.
And you're at a leadership institution. Everybody on the team's a leader. How do you separate yourself on the practice field to be a leader amongst leaders? And what's your style out there?
I would say it just kind of happens. For me, I try to go out and give everything I have every day. So when we talk about, rent's due, and I just finished watching something on Kobe talking about a job's not finished, that's kind of, I always try to watch things like that to just keep my mind right, things like that. But you don't go in wanting to lead people. You just kind of do your best and follow those that have set good examples for you and do that. And, if it comes, it comes. If people migrate towards you, they do. But just making sure you uphold that standard. So when I come in the weight room, everything I got, I try to leave in there. When I come to practice, if I make a mistake, mental note, just try to get better. If you approach life and the game with just trying to get better every day, all the other things will come and they'll fall into place. And when you realize that you have a platform like that, it's important that you recognize that and continue to elevate your game, because people are looking at you.
Thank you.
Wags, you got anything?
Yes, I do. So you lost two seniors out of your room, in 2K and Tyreek. Does that put more pressure on you and CJ to be leaders? I mean, you guys are now the most experienced slots and, seniors. Can you talk about that a little bit?
It's definitely it's not really a pressure, but it's just a different type of, we need to wake up and get these young guys ready because they're going to play. But I mean, we miss them all the time. But it's been the same type of attitude, especially like with how we approach the game and how we approach everything. It's next man up. you know, and we don't have time to try to, you know, dwell on anything. You know, when our number is called, you got to make a play. So that's just kind of how we're approaching the situation.
Can you tell us how Chance Warren's coming along? I mean, I know he came to Navy as a slot back, but I don't know how much he's ever really practiced at that position. Can you tell us how Chance is doing?
Chance Warren is a jack of all trades, one of the best athletes that I've ever played with, and he's picking up perfectly. You know, it's little things that we can tweak, that we can work on, just little footwork things. But as far as remembering the plays, knowing where to go, his background in playing receiver and quarterback, he knows everything already. So it's kind of a seamless transition. It's just small things that we have to coach up because we're nitpicky as A-backs. We like to be on point with, you know, a first step, a half a step, anything like that. And those are the only things he has to work on just because he's used to a different type of footwork. But other than that, he looks great.
There's two other new guys to your position group. I guess, is it Carlinos Alcy or
Carlinos AC?
AC? And then how does Chike pronounce his name?
Chike
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you talk about those two fellas?
They both coming along. Carlinos, he's been in the room. He's been doing good things, showing us a lot of good things. Chike has a ton of potential. But coming from defense, you know, Chance played offense, so he knew the playbook. So coming from defense, Chike has a little bit of catching up to do as far as learning. But he's a smart kid. This man trades stocks on his free time. So he'll be fine as we get throughout the season.
All right, thanks, Myles.
Thank you.
John Sadak.
Yeah, Myles, I was hoping you might be able to elaborate. I read in one of Bill's features that your grandmother was offered an opportunity to be a part of a Little Rock Nine. What was the story there? How did that come about? So
in my neighborhood, for African Americans, the only high school that they could go to was Dunbar High School, which is now a middle school. And that's where my grandma had went to school. I actually went to the rival school, Horseman Middle School. But when everything was being laid out and they were looking for people to come to the school, I don't remember exactly who had approached my grandmother and asked her if she wanted to be a part of the initial 9 or however many they had chosen to go to Central High School. But my grandmother's mom was not comfortable with letting her be in that environment, seeing all the things that they had went through and seeing the state of things in Little Rock at the time, death threats all the time. And it was a lot of kids in the household as well. So just putting everybody at risk by you know, anybody could come by your house, having to be escorted to school. She just wasn't comfortable with that whole situation.
And finally, for me, you know, as a senior, as right now you have a chance to be the regular starter weekly. Normally, this would be a year that a lot of guys in your spot would have family coming as often as possible to see games. You know, obviously, with how things are right now, there's so much uncertainty. Has your family talked about or decided how they'll try to communicate with you or share that experience with you if they're unable to attend?
Well, they know that I always know that they're rooting for me, but just for the concerns of health and things like that, they'll probably be at the house watching on TV or something like that. But if things clear up and things look different, you know, we don't know what's in the future for as far as the virus is concerned in the season. But if things clear up, I definitely think my mom, she'd make a trip up here to watch a game as long as nobody's close to her. I'm sure she would, which is hard for her because she's a hugger. So, but I think she would definitely like to get up and see a game. It's bittersweet, you know, not being able to do some of the things, you know, your senior year. We don't know how a senior night is gonna look or anything like that. But we just try to value every interaction, every opportunity that we get. But she's definitely excited that we get to play the first game. So she sees me suit up again. So she's excited about that.
If you could begin with where you're at right now, you know, with the position group. Obviously, there's some turnover there and the influx of Chance. Myles now listed in the one spot, but kind of where do you evaluate the position, its depth, and what you're seeing so far?
Yeah, that's a great question, John. I appreciate the question there. I feel really good about where we're at right now. Certainly, we have some guys that have really stepped up as leaders, primarily Myles Fells, Justin Smith. Certainly, you know, CJ Williams is a ball player and a great leader, and Chance Warren. You know, he came here originally as an A-back, and now he's back in the fold along with Devin High, and it's kind of exciting. It's good to get him back. I've kind of been trying to recruit them back for the last couple of years. So I'm a happy camper here.
With Chance, I mean, obviously there is position depth at wide out, and there were a little bit of holes at slot, but to whatever extent you're capable or willing to share, did you have to kind of pitch that idea to the other offensive coaches? Did it just kind of naturally kind of evolve that once the quarterback situation shook out the way it did, it made sense to just put him at slot?
Yeah, that's a great question. And probably one of the best parts about being here at Navy and being part of Coach Niumatalolo's staff and this team and this family is that we think a lot alike. And, I might have thrown it out there first, but everybody else was right in alignment with seeing the same picture I was seeing. So it wasn't very hard to persuade anybody, including Chance, and the guys on our team were just such great team players. They're unselfish. They're looking out for other people. That it's been a really smooth transition, both on the staff and with the players.
What do you think a guy like Chance needs to improve on? I mean, obviously he has playmaking skills. We saw that, but is it the blocking? Is it the feel in the pitch game? Is it just kind of understanding how that position works in the offense? Where do you want to see the growth from him?
Yeah, the biggest thing that Chance needs to work on are just the fundamentals that he hasn't received over the past year, which is, just the interior blocking. He's been on the edge blocking. Our wide receivers do a phenomenal job out there and catching the ball. So ball skills, those things are natural for Chance, but it's more just the interior stuff, just giving him as many reps as we can to make sure he's blocking properly on the interior stuff with linebackers and some of the different schemes we use inside. That's his big focus right now. And like I said, he's really, stepping up to the challenge and doing a great job with it.
And who would be most likely to be that third guy to get the heavy amount of reps right now?
Man, at our position, it's more like 3-4 type guys. It's every single A-back brings different qualities, and they all have different strengths that they bring to the table. I feel comfortable if we play tonight, rolling all those guys in, from Devin to Carlinos to Justin Smith to Chance to Myles. I mean, all those guys are phenomenal football players. And so, you could say there's a third guy, a 1, 2, 3, but it really kind of comes down to, where they are during the week and mentally with everything else that goes on here. But I really feel strong about all the A-backs, the whole core. And so I think we're going to be able to put a really strong unit on the field with our first offense. And when I say first offense, I know we brought up, a 2 deep, where you just got 2 guys, but really for the A-backs, those guys are unselfish. They're all willing to do whatever it takes. And there's really, in my mind, more than just one starter, if that makes sense.
Awesome. Thank you, Coach. Appreciate it.
Yeah, you bet, John. I appreciate the questions.
Who's up? Wags, go.
Hey, Joe, is CJ back practicing?
Oh, yeah, we got CJ out there. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm really excited about CJ. I mean, obviously, you got a playmaker like CJ Williams, who is proven, has a very high learning curve when it comes to football. He gets it, and it's funny, as you know, I got a bunch of my own children here at home, and some of them, the common sense meter is really high, and other ones you have to explain the basics to them, right? CJ is one of those kids that he has a really high level of common sense and just understands football. So super excited about CJ this year.
So as far as health-wise, he's 100% clear, and there's no question of him missing the opener?
He's still working through a couple things, but we expect to see him on the field.
And then with Chance, do you know if he got much practice repetitions at slot back as a freshman? I don't, he probably would have been on the junior varsity, but I don't know how much had he actually practiced at the position prior to this.
Yeah. As a freshman, he was an A-back through and through. And we sent him over with the scout team, so he was with us throughout camp and throughout individual. And then when we got into our scout work, he went over with the defense to work scout. And all the reports kept coming back that, man, Chance Warren is a baller. That guy makes plays. And, that we knew would happen. And so even throughout that season, it got to the point where we got a little thin mid-season where we actually brought him back and had him get some reps with the varsity, essentially knocking out some stuff, just make sure that his learning curve was where it needed to be in case he had to go into a game as a freshman. So So he's been a guy that's been high on our radar since day one. And he definitely has some good background and experience at the position. And quite frankly, playing A-back and then going and playing wide receiver and then quarterback, he's just more well-rounded now, and he can handle all that. He's a smart kid, and now he just has even a better feel and understanding of what we're trying to do schematically on offense, which is just a benefit, really.
So I know that Cheeky came over from safety. He was on defense. What was Carlinos? He was not a slot back last year. Is that correct?
Actually, Carlinos was a slot last year.
Oh, he was.
Yeah, Carlinos was a slot last year. Cheeky did come over from defense and continues to do great things. Making that transition from D to O takes a little bit more time, but he's really doing some really good things out there on the field. And you mentioned Carlinos. I'm super excited about Carlinos. Here you have a young man that he doesn't talk a lot, at least out there on the field. He just does his job, and he's really detailed in what he does. He takes a lot of pride in his work, and I'm super excited for him because he's a really intelligent football player.
And I believe you mentioned Devin High, who I think was playing fullback. When did he join the slot back unit?
So Devin also came to us as an A-back, and he was here as an A-back. And then we got really thin at wide receiver, as you recall, and so we moved him to wide receiver. And, and we brought him back to slot. And like I said, I've been trying to recruit Devin back for quite a while, so I'm super excited to get him back and to watch him make plays for us because, we talk about it a lot. The breakdown the A-backs have is A's make plays, and those guys have to be able to make plays, and Devin High can make plays for us.
All right, thanks. That's good for me now.
Awesome, Wags. Appreciate it, bud.
Phil, you're up.
Hey, Coach, we spoke to Myles Fells earlier today. What are you seeing from him so far in fall camp?
Man, tremendous leadership, number one. Work ethic through the roof, number two. And they kind of go hand in hand. Myles Fells he's one of a kind. He's one of those kids that I'm super privileged to be coaching. He gets the team. He gets the game of football. He's a great teammate. I have to pull him back sometimes because he's always trying to teach the young guys what to do. It's upon himself. It's like his own responsibility to make sure those guys know what to do. And he understands what we're doing at a high level. And he just wants to really be that servant leader that brings the younger guys along as well. And so I've been super, super encouraged, super impressed with Myles. And to be honest with you, I haven't been surprised one bit. Myles brings everything to the table that I expected Myles to bring. And I'm really, really excited for him for this upcoming season. He's put so much work into this year. And I'm just thrilled to get him on the field here in 14 days and get things going because I think he's going to have a tremendous season.
As you touched on, we're about halfway through fall camp right now. Teams are starting to have their identity by this point in fall camp. What are you noticing about this year's squad, and where do you want to see improvement still moving forward in this camp?
The big thing that is noticeable to me is that our guys care about each other. Our guys truly love one another. They love to be together. They love to spend time together, which has also been one of the biggest challenges for us, as it has been throughout the country, of just, the social distancing. Tendency is to get together and spend time together. And so to create those opportunities while being safe, Coach Niamatololo has done a really good job leading our football program from a safety protocol standpoint and really abiding by all the direction he's been given. But the players have stepped up as well and made sure that that's happened. And so with the proper social distancing, to still maintain unity and still build trust, to still build love, to still be able to serve one another, to look out for each other. That's probably the biggest thing that I'd take away, tied in with just the work ethic and the toughness that our guys have. I've been really pleased. They just continue to press forward, and with all the stuff that happens on a daily basis, it's like you're getting punched in the face every single day with this COVID thing. And I'm not just talking about us, that's across the country. And our guys they're relentless. They just continue to press forward and do what they know they need to do to prepare for September 7th. And that's really been encouraging for me to just see the resiliency that these kids have.
Thank you.
You bet. No problem, Phil.
Anyone have anything else?
Yeah, Coach, if you could expand a little bit on BYU. Obviously, you have professional connection there. And then do I understand right, some family connection as well? What does this matchup mean to you? What have you heard from your family when it was announced BYU would be an opponent?
Well, we definitely have some connection there. I had an opportunity to spend some time there, and my dad played football there way back when. I think they might have been wearing leather helmets. But yeah, I grew up in Utah, so I grew up, 40 minutes away from Provo and from campus there. So very familiar with BYU and their program, their coaching staff. I've known all those guys for a long, long time. I look through the staff. I think every single guy on there, except for maybe one, I have a personal connection with. So it's going to be fun, to go and compete against these guys. And on that hand, it's going to be fun. On the other hand, it's another game that we need to prepare for, just as it would be for anybody else. And so I'm excited to play them. I'm excited that they're coming here. And, the family, they're all excited like they would be. They're fans, and it's one thing to be a fan. It's another thing to understand the profession, the reality of what we need to do to go out and execute and move the ball and ultimately win a football game. And so I kind of let my family have fun with it. And of course, they're all Navy fans right now because I'm here, right? Blood is way thicker than anything else. And so they're all Navy fans, and it'll be fun for them. But for us, this is another ball game. It's a big ball game. It's going to be, nationally televised. And, to be playing on Labor Day and get things going, we couldn't be more thrilled to bring the Cougs into town and show them Annapolis.
And last one for me, I've heard the phrase a bunch, A's make plays. Do you know what the genesis of that is? Like who first coined it, when it came to be?
That's a great question. The brotherhood is real here at the Academy, and tradition never graduates. That's been something that's been on our team room wall forever. And the A's make plays, that was here before I got here. And so, the A-backs, those guys have a connection where they'll stay connected for decades, where they still text each other and have that connection. And I first came here in 2008, so it was before that, but I can't tell you exactly who it was or what. I ought to find out. I'll check into that for you and let you know, John.